Yo, what's good with y'all? Keymajor back with another video for y'all. Today I have another breakdown on a dark sample. But in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how to use a starter or already use a sample, flip it, and add to it. And knowing how to add instruments that complement the original starter or sample you're using. So with that being said, let's get straight to the video. So the starter that I use in this sample is from TB Digital. So it's very simple, so I had a lot of room for me to be creative and add my own instruments, textures, whatever. Like I said, all I did is I just chopped it up, kind of changing the order that the sample played, and I dragged it into here. And then what I did with that is I reversed it, and then I pitched it down 300 cents, and then I had this. Now that sounded a lot better to me. I like how that sounded. And then for the second half, all I did is I took off the reverse and I put it back to normal. I still had it pitched down 300, except I pitched it up an octave. And then it just goes back to the original recording right here. So that's pretty much it. That's all for the starter. So as you can see, I did add a lot of things, but I still managed to complement the original sample and make them fit perfectly. Most of the sounds you're gonna be seeing me use come from the all-air multi-kit. But the first sound I started with was the drown bell. And all I do for my one-shots is in the envelope, I turn everything down, the sustain all the way up, and the release, I just kind of change it whatever preference I want. And then I first just started with this basic melody. And it was just extremely simple, just 3 notes. I just created a very catchy, simple pattern. The effects were even more simple. I had ambient reverb, I just turned the mix knob down. I had an echo boy with the analog dirt slap, just very small, tight delay. And then down here on the EQ, I just took out the lows and lowered some of the highs a little bit. Now the second sound I use is the mod synth. And this is just a very nice, dry, saw synth. For this sample, I was trying to go for some synth Mike Dean type of stuff, so all these sounds fit perfectly. Now for the envelope, I did the exact same thing. I just turned the release down a lot, and I turned the hold all the way up. And as you can see, this pattern is very, very simple, and it only plays at the end. One thing that I will say about all the melodies that I use in this sample is they're all very simple, and they're all very basic. But when you put all of them together, they create a full sound. They all fit perfectly, complement each other. For the effects, all I had was pancake. And then again, another very simple melody right here. Preset I use is the Fenny lead. Like I said, fit perfectly with the sound selection. Another nice type of synth wave. Now there's not too much explanation behind this melody. All I did is I created this simple pattern going down the scale, copied it over, and I pitched it down an octave. I just removed the F. And that was basically a very simple top line. This really brought the whole sample to life, gave it a lot of character, and added that repetitive, catchy top line. Now the sample was very dry, so I did add more effects to kind of spice it up. First started with ambience reverb, so I had more ambience to it. Echo Boy, the chorus booth preset to give it that short delay chorus type of sound. And pancake, giving it more movement. And lastly, an EQ, taking out some of the highs, making it sound a little more old. The next one I added is this bell right here. A very nice vintage sounding bell. In the envelope, I didn't change anything at all, I just left it simple. And I created these very simple chords. Now with these chords, I first started with just this top melody going down, which is the main thing that you hear. All I added is the C sharp and then F sharp, which I just got down an octave to layer on top of that. These are really just melodies that anyone could make. They're all very simple. It's just the sound selection that makes it sound very high quality. That's what I put a lot of time into in this sample, not really the melodies. And also when it comes to sound selection, I did put some nice effects on here to make it sound even better. I first put a sound shifter, pitching it up an octave, but I turned the mix knob down. It's still pitched up an octave, but it still keeps the original sound, which is down an octave. Ambience reverb, so it's not so dry. And what really spiced it up was Portal. And I went into the Distra 2.0 by DB, and I selected the Chemix. And I turned the mix knob down as well, so it doesn't fully take over the whole sound. EQ just taking out the lows and raising the highs, so it's a lot more clean and crisp. And then the only VST I added in this sample was Omnisphere, and I added this Prophet bass. This Prophet bass I made myself. I will be dropping an Omnisphere bank soon if you guys really want that. So yeah, all I'm doing is I'm following the root note and then I just pitched it down 4 notes. This is a very simple trick that everyone always does. And I did this just to give the sample more emotion and make it more dramatic. And then in between, I just added these transition notes to kind of spice it up, give it more character. And then a lot of the effects I put in Omnisphere, so I put nothing on the mixer bus. Now the Omnisphere bass was real dramatic and emotional. For the second half, I wanted to add something more dark and gritty. So I actually added another VST. I lied, Omnisphere wasn't the only one, but I added the SRX piano and I just added the first preset, the Premier Grand, and I just followed the root note, which was D. I just copied it in multiple layers, stacking on top, and at the end I just pitched it down 4 like I did earlier, and I gave it this little stab to give it more rhythm. But I treated this piano as an 808 and I just tried to give it as much rhythm as possible instead of it just being very static. So as you can see, it's very simple notes, but I just chopped it up a lot to give it some rhythm. Like I said, a pattern you would use for an 808. And then for the effects, all I did is I lowered the bass a little bit, and then I raised the highs on the EQ just a tiny bit to make it sound more clean. And that was basically it. The last thing I added on here was some textures. These are from the same kit. I used the used to particle loop. And then in the same kit, I went to the ambience and I chose the energy noise. All I did is I pitched it up 400 cents to obviously match the key. And I just lowered the volume a lot, tucking them in the background. The last thing I did was I added this automation clip of the volume. This automation clip is for the synth bass from Omnisphere. I wanted to make it sound more smooth and fade it into the sample to make it sound even more dramatic, more tense as it like rises up. Lastly, on the master, to make the sample sound more full, I added halftime. Now on here, I put the loop on half speed and I put the band up 2.40 and the mix down to 77. What this is doing is it's only adding the halftime to the highs, and I just turned the mix down to 77. So it's giving it a little small effect, but it does give it huge difference. Lastly, just a soft clip that's making the sample more loud, and then I exported that into here. I didn't change the pitch or anything. This was just the final sample. Last thing I forgot to mention was the arrangement. Now in the arrangement, I purposely changed the second half to give it a more dark, ominous feel. I wanted the first half, like I said, dramatic, emotional, and then the second half to be a lot more dark, gritty, fast, and repetitive. How I did that was I created a very fast, repetitive piano pattern, bass pattern, which is very loud and takes over the whole sample. Like I showed earlier, I chopped up the original starter to be a lot more fast and repetitive, and I obviously pitched it up an octave to sound more intense. And then yeah, that was pretty much it. If you guys did enjoy and learn something new, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you miss any more videos. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, maybe on the screen right now, and also make sure you guys follow my second channel where I post a bunch of type beats where I actually use these samples. If any of you guys are struggling with sound selection and finding good sounds, I really recommend going to the first link in the description and copying some of my kits. Except the coding files kit, all of them are $10. A bunch of textures, phrases, percussion loops, everything for samples, which is in the Vanguard kit. And the Onyx kit comes with a bunch of one-shots, but also drums and bonus samples, so it's a whole multi-kit you can use for anything. And the coding files kit is just a mixture of everything just in one huge kit with Keyon as well, so we get more sounds. And for the ones that have bought it, I really appreciate you guys for all the support. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.